Hi, my name is Dr. Lori Daly. Welcome to ECE 37, our videotaped lectures. I want to tell you, first of all, why I'm choosing to do this. I'm videotaping some lectures to hopefully make the class a little more interesting. And I have a few brave students who've decided to come and watch me while I do the videotaping. Thank you for being here, but they don't want to be on camera. So you see me looking at people, that's because I have a live audience here, but you won't see them. So welcome to ECE 37, Adult Supervision. I usually teach this course as a face-to-face class, and that's what we call it when I'm in front of you and you're in front of me. And so it was quite unusual for me to turn this into an internet class. The idea of adult supervision is that you're in connection with people. It's about relationship and connecting with one another. And so to do this via internet is quite odd for me. So I thought if I showed you who I am, you could kind of get a sense of how I lecture and what I'm about, and that I talk with my hands, and it's a little easier also for me to show my personality through video than it is through typing. And to be honest with you, this is a huge class. At this point, I think there's 72 or 3 enrolled, and that's a lot of typing, so it'd be nice. 74, I'm being corrected. Some will drop along the way. That always happens. Our attrition rate's quite high, but it's a lot easier to talk for me than it is to type, and I start getting carpal tunnel towards the end of the semester, so I'm giving myself a break. So that's why I decided to do this. Hopefully it'll give you a little bit of my personality. When I started doing internet classes, this is my 3rd internet class. I'm starting my 4th next semester. I found humor doesn't translate very well. And I miss that very much because I like to infuse my lectures with some humor, and hopefully we can laugh as we learn and smile. But when you do that on the internet, it just doesn't come across the same. So I hope it's a little more personal. Let me tell you about my style of lecture. The people who are in the room already know me. Everybody here has had multiple, and I say multiple, meaning 4 or more classes, probably more like 7 or 8 with me. And they know my style. They know how I interact. And I have this one habit in my lecture. I call it grabbing the remote and putting the lecture on pause. So I have my well thought out lecture and the notes, and it's all tidy and linear and lovely. And then in the reality, I have some thoughts in the middle of it. So I will say, pause, and I will pause my lecture, and we will take a little bunny trail, which of course isn't a bunny trail at all, but very important. But I will bring us back on topic. Just so you know, that's my personal style, and I can see smiles and nods going, yeah, that's how she does it. I wanted to start off by talking about Blackboard submissions. Even though I have lecture notes, some people have never taken a Blackboard course, and I know that the people in front of me have a ton of questions, and you don't have to say them while we're on camera, but I thought it would be helpful if I at least talk to you a little bit about submitting your assignments, because you have something due on the 11th. It's your self-reflection paper. And so I'm not sure how well you can see this. Should I turn the lights off, or we decided it was okay with lights? I have the adult supervision class already up on the projector here. This is week 3 that I'm looking at. This is when we're taping this. You'll technically see this next week in week 4. And over here, let me grab my mouse. Over here is what we call the course content, or the course tools. I don't know how well you can see the finger that's pointing to it. The first thing you want to know is you can close that at any time just by simply pressing on these arrows. I don't care for that because I never remember what all these little symbols mean, but maybe you're very bright and you take a lot of internet classes and you have it memorized, in which case it's a lot easier if that is closed, but I'm going to leave it in the open position so that you can learn some of the names of these tools. The first thing is every week I'd like you to go to the course content page, which is right here. It's going to always say adult supervision and my name, and then every week I'm going to change out whatever the assignments are and whatever information it is I want you to read. So please take a look at this every week and read it. I'll always make some links down here for you. So for example, the syllabus will be open the entire semester. You can always access it immediately here, but you can also access it over here. Just giving you 2 ways to do it. Some people prefer to use all course tools, and some people like these little module links here in the course content page as well. I sometimes think of this as the home page, but really it's called the course content. So I will make a link to the textbook for the next couple weeks. Hopefully everybody will get your textbooks. By next week, I think that'll be the last week I can legally post any more of the PDF texts, so of the text without getting in trouble. So hopefully you're getting a hold of that and the bookstore has hooked you up. Past modules, every week once we have a new module, I will put the old ones in here. So there you go. We can always come back to it. Announcements. Take a look. It should come up as a pop-up menu for you so that when you jump in, it'll just come up. But if I have an announcement, it'll be here. If it's not, it won't. It just happens to be that there is an announcement this week that there was a mistake on question number 8. Maybe you noticed that in the first module quiz. It wasn't worded well, and I had a couple people email, and I thought, points for everybody. So we just went back and reset. Everybody got credit for number 8, no matter what your answer was, because we could see that the wording wasn't all that great. Your assessments, I think by now you already know this is where you do your quizzes. You have to check that every single week. And there is a quiz every week too. So be sure to come in here. And I'm going to go ahead and jump into this assessment because I want to show you something that's very important. When I choose, planning is understood to be, let's just say, a necessary element of successful mentor-coaching relationship. That sounds like a good answer to me, doesn't it to you? Yeah, that's the correct answer. So when I do that, I checked B. If you look over here on the right side, it's got an exclamation point under number 1 because I haven't saved it yet. So you have to come down and hit Save Answer. And then there's a little check mark that comes. I could see when I looked at some of the quizzes last week that not everybody saved your answers. So you may have put in the right answer, but if you didn't save it, you didn't get credit for it. And I can't even go back and reset that without resetting the whole exam and making you take the quiz all over. So double check before you submit it. Make sure all of those exclamation points are gone and there's all check marks here. And so then answer all the questions, go all the way down to the bottom, and then you also need to hit Finish. Oh, look, it's telling me I didn't answer all those questions. I'm not going to do very well. I'm only going to get 5 points on this, but that's okay. We're going to do it. And I've submitted my quiz. If I wanted to look at my grades, I could click on My Grades and look, uh-oh, quiz 2, I only got 5 points. I flunked. Oh, well, that happens. Look, I only got 75 out of the first module quiz because, again, I was just testing to make sure that your quizzes were working right. All right, the next piece that I want you to look at is underneath assessments is the course tool labeled assignments. This is extremely important and the main reason why I'm taking time with this. Last time I taught this course, people were emailing me their assignments. It can't go that way. It has to be submitted through the folder. And so when there's an assignment due, you'll come over here, you'll click on assignments. Look, I've already put up the self-reflection paper. Let's click on that. And here it tells you a little bit about it. In case you've forgotten what the syllabus says, I'll always put some information here. And now there's a place where you can, let's see, you can type in something here if you want to say something to me. But the main piece is that you're going to click on Add Attachments. And so, what are we going to add? Hopefully you will have written your paper in a Word document. You can save it as a PDF. If you do a PDF file, there's no problems opening up your documents. The minute we start doing OpenOffice is really tricky. We can't always open it, so I'd like you to avoid OpenOffice if you can. But definitely, Word document works okay. I can open up Pages, but a PDF is the best way to go. And so then you've got to tell it to go to My Computer. So click on My Computer, and then you can browse for files. I'm in the course, I'm in the classroom where there are no files on this computer for me to download, but I could go looking for something and I could attach it. And then of course you would say open, and so I would find it in here. I'd go look in documents. It's going to tell me there's nothing to download, but I don't have anything on this computer, so we're going to just pretend like I've clicked on open, but I'm going to hit cancel instead. You will see the name of your file will come up here, and then you got to click OK. Oh, it wants me to select something. I can't do it. But for you, if you've actually uploaded a file, you'll click OK, and then it'll be there. So let me go ahead and hit cancel. So you add your attachment. It'll show up so that you can see that you've added something, and then you'll hit submit. Are you sure you want to submit this assignment? Yes, we are. You have to hit OK. And there, I'm not going to do very well on this assignment either since I didn't attach a document, but that's okay. By the way, I'm the demo student, in case you wondered, it's me. That way I can jump in and pretend I'm a student and see what it looks like from your point of view. So that's what I really wanted to show you. I think you all know how to do your discussions by now. So look, we've already gotten started. And oh, I put in a special page just for us to share photos. Oh, look, lots of new photos have come in today. So if you want to jump in on this discussion titled Photos We Want to Share with Classmates, feel free to upload a photo. You do it the same way I showed you how to upload for your assignment. You click on it. We'll create a message. You have to use a subject. It won't let you save anything. You can't send an email or anything in Blackboard unless you give it a subject heading, which I can. Blah. Blah. Oop, a minute. Gotta get that L in there. So that was really exciting. If I wanted to attach a document, I click on it to add attachments. And then again, I have to go into my computer and go find that. I don't think I have any photos on this computer either, so they don't let us store anything on the class computer, so I'm going to go ahead and hit cancel instead of open. But that's a way that you could save it, and then you would hit post. So now you're going to see blah under demo student, and hopefully I will remember this time to delete that. Last week I forgot. So there you have it. Anything else I wanted to share? I do check mail pretty frequently. This is just for if the demo student, but for me, I actually have quite a bit more mail. Let's see. Oh, you all know where the modules are by now. You can see who's online, or the class roster. Here's the syllabus at any point. You want to keep on top of your syllabus for sure. I added another tool this week called Web Links. And I might add a few more. I haven't decided yet, but this is where you can go if you wanted to buy the textbook. A lot of people were having problems buying the textbook, so I gave you a direct link to Cengage. So this is a picture of a globe, which will take us to the World Wide Web. And no, here you go. And you could buy the textbook. This is the first textbook that we're using. And if you want to check your grades, that's down here. And I also gave you a place, so you can see I'm not doing very well in this course as the demo student. I've got a good F going. This is a place if you want to save files for your paper or something. You want to upload it here, you can. Just in case, I don't know if you want to utilize that feature or not, but if you wanted to, I added it. And there you go. So, we're all good? Anybody in here have a question? Yes.
All I have is OpenOffice.
All you have is OpenOffice.
And I'm unable to format it into a PDF. So what would you recommend?
Well, let's try it in the classroom. Here on campus, I believe we should be able to open up any one of the campuses. You should be able to go to the library or the Learning Center, or if you're an EOP&S student, there are special office computers for you. So go to one of the campus computers and you can ask for help. I know the Learning Center is able to change it from OpenOffice to Word. That would work. There are a couple websites out there, but for some reason older versions of OpenOffice I can't open. So it's not as open an office as I'd like, you know. But we'll work on it. That's a good reason to send your stuff early instead of waiting until 11:59 the night it's due. If it comes in the day before, you can shoot me an email through Blackboard. Oh, that's the little picture of the envelope is how you send stuff. This is the best way to reach me. I check this every single day, several times a day. Matter of fact, let's jump over here to teacher and see if I have any mail. Yeah, I do. There you go. That happens all the time. So I check, as a matter of fact, I'm ready to go check my mail. No, I'm videotaping. I won't do that. I'm like Pavlov's dog, though. When you've got mail, I go for it. So if you send me an email, I'll check it right away. If I can't open it, be looking for that email, and I'll tell you if we are not able to. But it makes it a lot easier if it's done the day before than at the end of the semester. All right, everybody's good? Hopefully that's answered a bunch of questions for you. And I'm going to sign out here by doing this. Oh, we just locked her out, by the way. You'll let her back in? Oh, good. Okay, so now I'm going to do some lecturing. Yay. Lecturing is good. And they all go, yay, right? Yay, we love lecture. The first thing I want to tell you is if you haven't read the Code of Ethics, the thing about the NAEYC, and that stands for N, the National, A, Association, E, of the Education for Y, Young, C, Children, NAEYC. Wow, it's a mouthful. You need to become familiar with that website if you're not. It's a wonderful publication and an organization that is our governing body for early childhood ed. They have several publications of Code of Ethics. I know everybody in this room has dealt with the Code of Ethics, and so I'm not going to spend a ton of time, but there are many people on camera that are watching this video that don't have a clue. They haven't had other classes with me, so bear with me if this is a little bit of a repeat for you. So I will make a post. As a matter of fact, I can go ahead and say, go to the course content page this week, and you'll see 2 PDFs from the NAEYC. One is the Code of Ethics for teachers, and the second document is the Code of Ethics for supervisors, because this is a supervision class. I want you to take a look at that. So we must always, always, always look to our code to see what the code tells us. The next piece, now that I've talked about the code, is, I'm going to say, the foundation of being a good supervisor. There's so much to it, but there is a huge foundation of character. That's what it's all about. They're smiling. You've all heard this before. I'm really big on the idea of character. I believe character determines your success. Without character, we can't go very far in this business. I'd like to think in any business, but particularly in early childhood ed. I've got a definition for you. This is the definition of character. The qualities built into an individual's life that determine his or her response regardless of circumstances. So I like to call that also transparency, meaning I am who I am no matter what. You call me at 2 in the morning, don't call me at 2 in the morning unless your house is on fire or you need a ride to the hospital. But if you did call me at 2 in the morning, I am the same Lori Daly as I am here at Yuba College. The same. Nothing changes because that's my character. So no matter what's going on, even if it's a really stressful situation, I'm still going to be hopefully the kind, warm, caring person that you know me to be, no matter what. And that takes time to really figure out who you are, what you want your character to be, and can you really be that person no matter what? Because I'll tell you, stress brings things to the surface that are not so lovely. You can really find out about where a person is at and what their character is like when you throw them into a stressful situation. Come out? It can. And even people with great character have moments where they're stressed out and they're not so pretty. I like to think of the day I was getting ready. I was getting married. Oh, I was going to set my timer. Nah, I'm not going to do that. Then it would tell me when I was at 30 minutes. Hopefully I'll get there and we'll know. The day I was getting married, I've got a couple brides in my classes this semester. I've got one sitting here in the room getting ready to get married. I remember looking up in the mirror like 2 hours before the event thinking, oh, you look horrible. I had like curlers in my hair, and I had like a bathrobe on, and I had mascara on one eye, and I'm trying to get into pantyhose. I'm like hopping around the bathroom. I remember thinking, oh, this is not good. I only have like 2 hours to pull this together. And I was very stressed, and I thought maybe I should have started this days ago getting ready. But the truth is that it all came together. And by the time the ceremony happened, all my makeup was in place. I had the pantyhose on. The dress just went on pretty easily. It wasn't as stressful as I thought, but there was a moment where I thought it's never going to come together. But it did. So let that be a relaxing thought for you. The idea behind this is that if we're a person of character, there might be moments where we feel like we're not ready and we're not together, but it will come together if your character's in place. I like the idea that we're all diamonds. Here's a nice little thought that our character is like the brilliance of a diamond. Success in every area of life will be enhanced as you develop each facet of your character. As your imperfections are cut or polished away, you can reach your full potential. Have you ever seen a diamond before it's been cut and polished? It just looks like an ugly kind of dirty rock. Well, we're diamonds we're not dirty rocks, don't get me wrong. We're lovely diamonds. We've all been cut and chiseled to a certain degree or we wouldn't be in college, right? But we are still being cut. And even if we're done being cut, we're still being polished. And it's a continual thing. Anybody who has a diamond, I'm looking at my wedding ring, knows that it gets dirty. And I got to pull out the toothpaste and scrub it with the little toothbrush I have just for my diamond. But it's amazing how I'll just put hand lotion on or whatever it is I'm doing and it loses its brilliance. So the idea is that we're constantly being polished. And it doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with us. We're a work in progress. You're all beautiful diamonds. Let me say that. We're all beautiful diamonds. Oh, isn't that a nice thought? We're just being cut and polished and cleaned continually. So your textbook in chapter 3, because this is really module 3 that we're looking at this week, breaks it down into a couple pieces, like 8 different things that one needs to think about in terms of leadership and supervision. The first thing, putting it all in context, is a good leader or a good supervisor is involved in caring for other people. I'm going to hit the pause button like I told you I do in my lectures. I often don't lecture straight from the textbook. My students sitting here know I actually rarely lecture because you're in college. You know how to read your textbook. I trust that you've all done your reading. You have to for this class because there's quizzes every week. And so I'm trying to bring in information in addition to what's in your text, but I always try to connect it to the reading in your text. So what I'm going to share with you is not completely in your text, but it is completely connected. So having said that, I'll hit the play button on the lecture here. According to Meyerhoff, and this is old stuff here, so leadership hasn't changed that much. In 1971, there are 8 major ingredients in caring for another person. I spent some time on these 8 ingredients. I think we could go on and on and on. As a matter of fact, I came up with 49. That would be a long lecture. And I could keep going. I just ran out of time. I think we could come up with thousands of words that determine what a good caregiver is. Well, we're not going to do that today. Don't worry. We're not going to be here till 2 a.m. But the first one your text talks about, they called it knowing. And I thought about knowing. What does that mean? I think it means a couple things. The first deal about knowing is that you have to be somewhat competent in what you're teaching. There is this understanding that you have knowledge of your area. There's a thoroughness to it as well. If you really know something, it's not incomplete. So there's knowledge, there's awareness, or experience as a way of knowing. I'm going to talk about that as well in your subject or the area that you're looking at. So first of all, if you're going to be a good supervisor or leader, you have to have some knowledge. And knowledge comes in lots of different shapes and sizes. I'm always disappointed when people underestimate the importance of experience in knowledge, because experience is a valid way of knowing. Many of you have children. Some of you don't have children, but you have nieces or nephews. Some of you have brothers and sisters that you helped raise. That's experience in dealing with children, and it's valid. Just because maybe you haven't studied, you don't have your master's or your doctorate or whatever, doesn't mean that you don't have knowledge. Some of you have been supervising in a different capacity. Maybe you worked at a restaurant, you were a supervisor, or you worked at a grocery store, or I don't know, I'm sure everybody has unusual backgrounds that we bring with us. And we don't throw that out. Have you heard that term, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater? So we don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. We absolutely use that experience, and we'll build from it. That's a valid source of knowledge. Don't underestimate the power of that and the importance of that. That's number one. Number two says alternating rhythms. I like that concept, and I pushed it in a little bit of a different direction and called that being flexible. Anybody who's done any yoga or stretching or gymnastics or any of those, ballet, knows what flexibility is. It can be painful too. Right? Anybody done that? Take your leg and throw it over. No, ow. It takes a long time to be able to do that. It doesn't happen immediately. True flexibility takes time and practice, and you get a little bit more flexible the more you do it. It's also a willingness to change your plans or your ideas without getting upset. You know what I love about dogs? I'm a dog person. You've noticed. You've seen Dinky. I've posted his photos. They tend to be pretty flexible. Sometimes they're not. When it's time for the walk, if I go get his leash, he's not so flexible. He's so excited. We're going for a walk. We're going for a walk. But in the rest of his life, it doesn't matter. The dog is like happy. Okay, what are we going to do now? We're gardening. Okay, I'm coming. We're going to go out to the garden. I'll help you dig. No, we're not gardening. No, we're going in to use the potty. Okay, let's go in and use the potty. I just think of how easily they can move from thing to thing. We're not like that naturally necessarily. Some people are more flexible than others and more accommodating. But it is something you have to work on. A good supervisor is not the manager who runs, let me hit pause again. I know you already have your definitions down. We did that in modules 1 and 2 of manager versus supervisor versus leader versus mentor. So I'm not going to take on this video segment to define all those different types of leadership, management skills, supervisors, because that's a whole lecture in itself, and we've already covered it. I know you've done your reading. But a good manager, often they will stick to the plan. We need to sell so many widgets, whatever those are. If anybody has a photo of a widget and you'd like to post it, we're more than happy to know. I have no clue what they are. If you need to sell 100 widgets every day, then that's what it's all about. There isn't any flexibility in it. We're not in that kind of a career. We're in the career of people. That's a different thing. And that's why it's so hard to determine what a good leader is. Because there isn't that bottom line that there is with sales. We're about, is it a good relationship? Is it working well? That's tough to define. It's really difficult to define and look at, and you can't quantify that. All you can do is try to qualify it. Is it, well, maybe, if they do this, that's a good thing, and we'd like to see more of that, but it's really difficult to put a number on that. But that doesn't mean we can't strive towards being good supervisors. Just because it's difficult doesn't mean it can't be done, and that's the point of this whole course, is to look at what a good supervisor is. So that was number 2, flexibility. Can we be flexible, willing to change our plans or ideas without getting upset? That moves to the third one. I can count. 1, knowing. 2, flexibility. 3, patience. If you really are going to be flexible, you want to learn how to be patient. We have lots of possibilities to practice this in our daily lives. I don't know how many of you do the shopping in your household, but that's a really good place to practice patience as you're waiting. No, you can go ahead of me. You only have 2 items and I have an entire cart. Oh, that can be painful at times because I'm in a hurry. I got places to go, things to do. Andale, andale. I just clapped my hand. Sorry about that. I hope it didn't hit your audio too hard. Patience. That's accepting a difficult situation without becoming upset. That's being flexible. It also is being willing to humble yourself in a situation. You can't truly be patient unless you aren't a little bit humble, because patience in itself connotes that you're allowing someone else to be more important or to have importance in the moment. I hope you can think about that. And if you can't put other people in that position of being important or even more important, then that you don't have humility and you can't really operate patience. So for an example, it's 2 a.m. The baby is crying. I know most of you have had that experience. In our flesh, in our mental capacity, we want to scream and say, I'm just trying to her. But we are patient and kind caregivers at heart, and so we know that it's about what the baby needs. We can put that baby's needs in front of our own, and we can love and tend to that baby with patience because we understand something's wrong. Hungry, lonely, needs to be held, needs to be burped, maybe they're cold, maybe wet diaper. Get to play the whole game of what is it, what's going on with the baby. And just a little side note, if you haven't taken ECE 33, I highly recommend you do. That's my infant toddler class where I give you the codes to the baby language because there are 5 main words that babies cry. So it makes it a lot easier to figure out why baby's crying. But my point is that to really have patience, you've got to be willing to give up your own agenda, even if it's momentarily. So our deadlines that we set of, andale, I need it done, which I can get into. Professor, hello, Dr. Daly here, turn it in on time, I don't take late work. I can be harsh, and I know that, and I don't want to be that way. That's not my heart. My heart is to give you all grace and peace. But so it's hard. We have jobs where there are deadlines, and yet we be patient. So it's knowing, when do I give grace, and when do I say, no, this is the deadline. That goes into flexibility there. And they kind of overlap a little bit. So let's see. Number 4. Oh, this is important. Honesty, truthfulness. Boy, if you're not someone who's known as being honest, you got nothing in our field. Think about that. As caregivers, even the supervisor of caregivers, if you're not honest, who's going to trust their children with you? So, I've got a little bit of a definition here of, let me think, where did I put my definition? Aha. Being consistent about telling the truth or your understanding of what happened at all times. Truth. So you're accurately reporting past facts. You can't tell the truth about the future. Well, maybe you can. Maybe you're, I don't know, you're psychic or prophetic or whatever, but I'm talking about past facts usually. So you earn future trust by telling the past accurately. Does that make sense? Little tiny white lies that sometimes we say in order to get us out of trouble, I say don't. Come up with another way, especially with parents and the people that you supervise. Absolutely with children too. There's other ways. You can become skilled at getting around it because sometimes the truth is not really what needs to be spoken. But do these pants make me look fat? No, I don't want to hear the truth, you know. Right? So there's times when we can't tell the truth, but we don't have to be dishonest. So we could say something, well, gee, how do you feel about your pants? When it reflects it right back onto them. And then I could say, well, you know, I really like these pants. And then you could say, oh, well, I can tell that you like them, and that I like the fact you like your pants. I mean, really, everybody's done that. The haircut. How do you like my haircut? I never say your haircut looks great if it doesn't, because then I'm lying and you're going to catch that. But I can say something simple like, well, how does it make you feel? Well, then I am so glad that you're enjoying your new haircut. You're going to have to think of ways around this, but I promise you, if you are not a trustworthy person telling the truth, you're not going to have trust. You won't. People will know you as someone who lies or fabricates. That's the other thing. I know somebody who embellishes the truth. By the way, that drives me crazy. Just tell me the truth. I can handle it. And actually, if my pants don't make me look thin, that's okay too. I want to hear truth from you. But there are times when you can't be so blunt. You don't want to crush anybody. But to say the story is a little more flamboyant than it really is, that's not being truthful either, is it? So we really have to be aware of that, because people are going to notice what we say and what we do. And the word gets out faster about us when we're not telling the truth than it does when we're telling the truth. That's the hard truth about life. Negative stuff flies. You've heard about gossip goes faster than a wildfire. You ever heard that term? Well, if someone thinks you're not being truthful, that's just breeds all kinds of gossip in the workplace. Let's see, trust. Where's my list here? I got it in here somewhere. I'm learning how to use my iPad to lecture off of. Maybe you in the class have noticed I am lecturing off of an iPad, which is hard for me because I'm used to having my paper notes in front of me. So trust, or honesty and truthfulness, moves to number 5, which is trust. And here's a definition that I have. The firm belief in the reliability, the honesty, the integrity, the truth, so it connects to truth as well, the ability or the strength of someone or something. So if you're not honest, nobody's going to have trust. But it goes both directions. It's bi-directional, or in some of my classes I use the word reciprocal. I like that word because caregiving is reciprocal. It goes both ways. And so that means not only do I have to earn your trust by telling you the truth, doing what I say I'm going to do when I say I'm going to do it, but then I have to give you trust. If you're really going to be a supervisor, you have to trust people. That's hard, especially for type A personalities that want to control everything. But if you don't feel trusted, I'm just going to pose this. You don't have to answer because I know you don't want to be on camera. But if you don't feel trusted by your boss, does that make you really want to work hard? No. And this, perhaps, I should back up a little bit for the people that are watching this on the internet. I started off one of my lectures last year with this idea from Margaret Benfeld. It's trust. Value plus connection equals community. So what that means is value. I have to value you as an employee or as a human being, really, seriously. Just if we feel valued, then, and there's connection, you go out of your way to connect with somebody. Personally, I think those two go together, because if you really value someone, you will take time to connect with them, that we build this community, and we can't really work together community if we don't feel like we're valued and connected. And that ties into the idea of trust. Can you really be valued if you're not trusted? That's the best gift you can give an employee as a supervisor. And sometimes it's the hardest thing. I just trust you. And that means you have to know where they're at too. You don't want to give them a skill that's over their head that you know they're going to fail at. Chapter 2 talked a bit about that, assessing where that person's at so that you can give them the skills needed in order to get to the next step. So we have to have reliability, which means it has to be predictable over and over and over. That simply means that it'll happen continually, consistently. It's reliable. So number 6, I'm looking at the clock. Humility. I already touched on this a little bit. I do think that patience and humility go hand in hand. Can you see how all of these overlap? It's a tidy list of 8, but really it's not so tidy. They overlap quite a lot. Good old humility. Boy, I'll tell you, the best leaders are the ones that are humble. If someone's arrogant and thinks themselves more highly than you, it's bad for your morale. It doesn't bring out the best in your work ethics. It just brings everybody down. No one wants to be around someone who thinks they're better than you. And so I think it's really important that we spend time every day reflecting on what we did during that day and what we could do in order to improve ourselves. And if you do that on a daily basis, it'll keep you humble, because if we're honest with ourselves, we make mistakes. We're human. That's what we do. Some of us are really good at making mistakes. And you know what? That's the way scientists work. They don't learn anything without making mistakes. They try something that doesn't work, or they try something and something different happens, and wow, who knew that would happen? That's how some of the best inventions were derived of. So 6, keep yourself humble. Let me see if there's anything else I want to say about humility. Oh, you know, another part of humility that I think is great is that it acknowledges that the achievements that I have in my life are results from interacting with other people. The investments that other people have made in my life. I don't have anything on my own. Quite seriously, I could never have gotten a doctorate without other people investing in me and helping me along the way. We all need each other to get through things. So if you can look at that and realize that nothing that you have happened in a vacuum of just you-ness. That's my own word now, you-ness. It doesn't happen alone. We need each other. And so if you can do that and acknowledge the other people in your life that have helped you to get to where you're at and invested in your life, then it's easy to esteem others more highly. We can't do anything by ourselves. Together we're better. That's a book title that Bev Boss, one of my mentors back in the 80s, wrote, called Together We're Better. Truthfully, if we really want to build community and have value and connectedness, that's part of it, recognizing that we work together. Number 7, hope. I think that's sweet, or you could call it faith. Just hoping, the confidence that the best outcome will come together. There is nothing wrong without having hopeful thinking. There's nothing wrong having hopeful thinking, I should say. It's a good thing. I think that positive attitude is worth so much. I'm looking at someone who coaches, and you can't do it, right? Picking on my coach. But the truth is, we, as supervisors and leaders and mentors, we want to bring that out of people, that they can think and hope and have faith that they can do something. And we have to have it too. It doesn't just come out of thin air. There's lots of ways that one can build that, but it's important to try to put that on, even when you can't see how it's going to happen in the natural right now. There might be times, I bet, while I'm saying this, there are several people who can't imagine how you're ever going to get through college and get this AS degree. It doesn't seem plausible, but let me just tell you, it is. Keep going. Woohoo, you got it. You're not alone. I've got over 9 years invested in school. I know how hard it is, but just keep plugging away, even if it's one class at night or on the internet every semester, just keep plugging away. You can do it. And so the idea is that we have confidence that our actions can come about even when it's not obvious how it's going to happen. And let's see, I think the last one, courage, boldness. That's the last one your textbook talks about. Confidence that what I have to say or do is true, right, and just. You just have to have some boldness and confidence. It's not always easy, but as a supervisor, you do have to have a certain, people are looking to us to lead. And if you don't have that confidence, then that gives the illusion that you don't have confidence in other people. Let me give you another example of this. Have you ever had a parent come to the school and not feel good about leaving their child for the first time? And you could tell that they were terrified of leaving their child. And then all of a sudden the child was terrified about being left. They could read that their parent wasn't confident that they were going to be okay, and they picked up on it. We can do this with our staff as well. If we don't have confidence, I can see someone's totally relating to that. It's true. We need to have that confidence and show that boldness. People will feel confident that we're the right people to follow, leaders or mentors. And then your book doesn't say this, but I'm going to throw in these last 3 things because I think it's important. Alertness, being aware of what's taking place around us so that we can have the right responses. We want to be alert. That makes sense. Otherwise, you become careless. And good leaders are not careless. We're alert. Attentiveness. That means that we pay attention. I call that be here now. When you're there with somebody, you're with that person. It's very important when we're with children, but it's also really important when we're dealing with workers that we're supervising or mentoring. We all know when someone's not interested in what we have to say, and they're looking at their watch, and they're rolling their eyes, and they're looking around the room, who else can I go talk to? And the message is, I don't really care about you or what you have to say. And that is one of the worst things that one can do. Attentiveness shows that that you're not going to be easily distracted, that you can connect with that person, and that they matter. That ties back into the Benfeld idea of value plus connection equals community. If you value somebody, you pay attention to them. You're attentive to what they need and what they're saying. I will give you my undivided concentration. And then the last piece is what I call compassion. We just need to be compassionate. And that's so hard sometimes in today's world. It's easy to just be hard-nosed. No, I don't take late work. I don't take late work, by the way. Sorry. But it's true. I can't do it. But it's easy to just get about it. But that's not what we want to do because we take care of children. And it's that trickle-down idea. If you're the supervisor and you're not compassionate with the people that are working with children, then that's going to hit them, and then they're not going to be as compassionate with the children who are going to feel it, or they're not going to be as compassionate with the parents who are going to pull their children out of your child care because parents aren't going to put up with that. And so it's really important that we invest whatever is necessary to help heal the hurts of other people. We can do that. Sometimes it's just listening. Sometimes it's when you ask somebody, how are you doing today? That you really stop and listen. How often do we ask people, how are you doing today? And then we think, okay, bye. Oh, I'm doing, see ya. How often do we do that? We do it all day long here on campus because we walk around on the campus. There's a bunch of people and, hello, how are you? Hello, how are you? It's not a question at all, is it? No, it's just a salutation. Don't ask it if you don't want to hear. Really take time when you ask somebody, how are you doing? And then stop and be there. And then if they're not doing okay, sometimes it's just listening, just being there for them. I don't know about you, but 9 times out of 10, all just share what happened with my husband. He already picking on my husband already, but he's a really lovely guy. I'm going to pick on him. But he learned this early in my marriage that when I come home and I want to tell him about something that happened, I do not want him to solve my problem. Do not solve my problem. I already handled it. It's done. You got to trust me. I know what I'm doing. I handled it. I just want to share it. I want to have a connection. I want to share with him, and I want him to be compassionate and go, oh, honey, I'm so sorry. Oh, that's wonderful. Whatever it is, I need him to connect with me on an emotional level. It's about sharing an emotional experience. It's not about fixing my problem because we're all competent. We can handle stuff. And if I did need help, I'd say, gee, I have a problem. Can you help me? Big difference. So I'm going to end on that note and just encourage you to think about that. Try to find some spaces in time where you can be compassionate for people this week. Because people do really respond if we take the time to be here now and to connect with them. So thank you. Sign off for now. And that's the end of Module 3 videotape lecture.